All right, folks, welcome back to, I guess I'm going to call this Talking Music with Mike or something like that. So, the splash page says it. I've already forgot what I put on there. Anyway, so continuing on with non Kiss related materials and what have you not. Uh, some bonus points will go on to all of yous who can guess what my favorite band is in the world. If you guess these guys, you are incorrect. However, today we're going to talk about a certain box set from my favorite band, one that I'm quite fond of, the band and the box set. And that box set and band happened to be the first 10 years by Iron Maiden. So, yes, Maiden is my favorite band of all time. Kiss, honestly, I'd be surprised if Kiss actually falls within my top 10. Just a simple fact of it. I love Kiss, don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously I love them. I've got 600 some odd pieces of vinyl over here that I've shown across a bunch of episodes. But truth be told, they probably rank outside my top 10 if I really sat and thought about it. Maiden, on the other hand, I have just had a absolute love for since the mid 90s, and at one time I did have a vinyl collection that I have since sold off, mostly to fund that. But I collected Maiden different than I do Kiss, and I just got to a point where I was bored with collecting Maiden vinyl. I wasn't doing variations and all that. I was just I had one copy of everything on whatever format it was released. So at the time, you take like the Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter single. I had a 7-inch picture disc, 7-inch vinyl, 12-inch picture disc, CD. I think that was all the formats it was released on, and I was good with it. Sold off all my vinyl. I still have everything on CD. So this first 10 years box set today, this was a collection of singles from the first 10 years of Maiden's existence, from the first album up to Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. There was 20 singles in that time period, and they were all released in the UK, whether it be on 7-inch vinyl or 12-inch vinyl, some of them both. And then they collected all of these together, and they did 2 singles per release, and they released these one a week with a voucher that you could collect. And at the end of the run, when you got all 20 vouchers, you can send off and get the box. And this was released on vinyl and CD. I've since sold the vinyl set off. The vinyl set was huge. It was there's 2 records for each single. So like the first single was Running Free, and then you had another single. The next one was Sanctuary. Well, they had those put together in a gatefold, had 2 discs in it, and they simplified it a little bit on the CD. So we're going to run through the CD version of the box set. And as far as I know, these were released in the UK and Japan only. I don't think there was a US release of these that I know of. But when I was collecting Maiden vinyl, I collected everything from the UK, so I'm not real up to snuff on American presses of their stuff. So we'll set the box aside for now. Well, so you had the CDs would slide inside the box here, and then you got your lid with the cover of it. With the UK version, which is what this is, there was no booklet. The Japan version did have a booklet, but I never did get that one. So we'll start going off the CDs now. So we start off with Running Free, and I'll show you kind of how the record jackets were laid out. So you could open it up and you had Running Free, and then you had Sanctuary. And then when you opened up the gatefold, you had the back cover for Running Free and the back cover for Sanctuary inside. And then you had a disc for each one. It had the A-side and the B-side tracks, and then for the first 10 years, there was also a track on each volume called Listen with Nico, part whatever, 1 through 10. And Nico would give some stories and whatnot as only Nico can say. So to start off with, each had a hype sticker on the case. It says, contains first 10 years collector's box voucher, details inside. Here's what the voucher looked like for each individual one. And then you had the disc. And these vouchers were, I keep them all in the back here, but so they were specific to each release. So looking at this one, you can see that it says Running Free and Sanctuary #1. And then the back will tell you what all volumes there were and then when they were to be released. And it looks like the first volume was released on February 12th of 1990, and the last volume was released on April 16th of 1990. And then, yeah, you bought each disc or record or whatever, then you take the vouchers, collect them all together, turn them in, and then you can get the box. I've got the box and 9 out of 10 of the vouchers. So there's Running Free, Sanctuary. And Running Free has the B-side, Burning Ambition. And then Sanctuary has the B-sides, a live version of Drifter and a live version of I've Got the Fire. And then there's Listen with Nico Part 1 on this disc. Alright. Next up, we got the hype sticker again. We have Women in Uniform and Twilight Zone. So there's the cover for Women in Uniform. And then on the back side, you've got the Twilight Zone cover. Then on the inside of the booklet, you have the back covers for each. And another thing to note is on each cover, that little first 10 years emblem is on the front. So there's the booklet for those two singles. And then again, I've got the voucher for that one. So on the back of the Women in Uniform single, I used to have all this in my head. It's a little shaky now, but so the B-side is Invasion and a live version of Phantom of the Opera. And then Twilight Zone, you've got Twilight Zone and Wrathchild. It's a double A-side, but technically when Twilight Zone was first released, Twilight Zone was not on the Killers LP. So it was a non-album track. Same with Sanctuary. When Sanctuary was first released, it wasn't on the debut LP. So there's your disc and your voucher for Women in Uniform Volume 2. And then the third volume is Purgatory, backed with Maiden Japan. And then on the inside, you've got the backs. So Maiden Japan has, well, several releases around the world, but you had a 4-track version and a 5-track version. The UK was a 4-track version, which is what got reissued here. So on Purgatory, it's Purgatory and Genghis Khan, so both album tracks. Made in Japan, you've got live versions of Running Free, Remember Tomorrow, Killers, and Innocent Exile. And then on the 5-track version, which unfortunately did not get reissued on CD, there was a version of Wrathchild from that set of shows. Then you've got the third installment of Listen with Nico. So there's your voucher for Volume 3. And then next up is Run to the Hills and The Number of the Beast. And then there's your back covers for those two singles. Run to the Hills is backed with Total Eclipse, and The Number of the Beast is backed with a live version of Remember Tomorrow, which some of you more astute Maiden listeners may think that Remember Tomorrow on the back of the Number of the Beast single and the Maiden Japan version sound eerily similar. It's because it's the same thing. They just wiped Paul's vocals off of it and put Bruce's on. So there's your disc for these two singles and the voucher. And then the fourth installment of Listen with Nico is still on there. So, alright. Next up is Fly to Icarus and The Trooper. And then we've got the back covers for the singles there. Fly to Icarus has a studio recording of I've Got the Fire, and The Trooper has a cover of Jethro Tull's Cross-Eyed Mary. And then you got the fifth installment of Listen with Nico. So there's your disc. And there's your voucher. Alright. Next up is 2 Minutes to Midnight with Aces High. And then you've got your back covers for the singles there. So 2 Minutes to Midnight is backed with Rainbow's Gold and Mission from Airy, which Airy is for those of you that don't know, is kind of a UK slang way of saying Steve Harris's last name, Airy. Alright, Aces High is backed with King of Twilight and a live version of The Number of the Beast. Alright, there's your disc, and there's your voucher. And I'm going to pause for a second. I'll be right back. You won't know the difference. Alright, back to the Maiden. So, we left off on 2 Minutes to Midnight and Aces High. we're going to pick up with the Live After Death singles. So Live After Death, they did a live version of Run to the Hills, which this cover always baffled me because that's clearly Phantom of the Opera. But Run to the Hills was the A-side. Hey, I was 4 years old when these decisions were made. They didn't come and talk to me, all right? So I don't get it. And then a live version of Running Free. There's your back covers for the two singles. So Run to the Hills has live versions of Run to the Hills, Phantom of the Opera, and Lost for Words, which Lost for Words was not on the Live After Death album. Running Free had live versions of Running Free, Sanctuary, and Murders in the Rue Morgue, which Murders was not on the Live After Death album either. So you had a couple of non-album B-sides. And you had part 7 of the Listen with Nico series. And it's hard to show here, but like the Run to the Hills single, the front and the back covers are a continuation of one another. But yeah, that clearly should have been Phantom of the Opera on the A-side. Why they, I guess Run to the Hills was a proven single already. So here is your disc for this volume. And there is your voucher. And on the Running Free single, every version I've ever had, the 7-inch, the 12-inch, the 12-inch picture disc, and then the CD and LP version of the first 10 years, they cut out that big middle section where Bruce is winding up the audience. It's just a standard running time, I guess I could say. I believe the album version's like 13-something minutes long or something like that, and it's just got Nico playing the drum beat to it, and Bruce is winding everybody up. Well, they cut out all that for the singles, so there's a slightly different edit there. And moving on to the next one, and personally my two favorite singles from Maiden's first 10 years. So we have Wasted Years and Stranger in a Strange Land. And here we've got the back covers for the two of them. So Wasted Years had Reach Out and the Sheriff of Huddersfield on the B-side. So notably about Reach Out was Adrian Smith sings lead vocals on Reach Out. Actually, Wasted Years is one of my favorite songs on Somewhere in Time. Reach Out I actually like more than Wasted Years. So and then the Sheriff of Huddersfield was just them making a shit ton of fun of their manager, Rod Smallwood. It's kind of comical to listen to. And then on the back of Stranger in a Strange Land, you had That Girl and Juanita. Now, That Girl, there was a version of that song recorded by the band FM, which was pretty poppy. It's not a song that you would expect Maiden to play, and I mean, it still sounds like Maiden, but it's hard to explain. It's all over YouTube. I definitely love That Girl. And then Juanita, that's just another kind of piss take, really. And I really can't think of anything memorable about Juanita right now, so my bad. You got part 8 of Listen with Nico here. This is the one voucher that I am missing from the set. So, I got this set years ago on eBay, and this is how everything came to me. I just never got around to trying to find a version of this with the voucher or just the voucher by itself. But there's the disc. And that was Wasted Years and Stranger in a Strange Land. Okay. Next up, we have Volume 9. Yeah, I'm still kind of in a medicine fog. So here we have Can I Play with Madness and The Evil That Men Do. And then you've got the back covers for each. So Can I Play with Madness was backed with Black Bart Blues, and then a cover of Thin Lizzy's Massacre, which not bad. It's not Thin Lizzy's version of Massacre, but I mean, if that was the only version of the song you ever heard, it's not a bad version. And then Evil That Men Do, you have re-recordings of Prowler and Charlotte the Harlot with this lineup here. So, not sure why they did that. It didn't really add or take away anything, in my opinion, to those two songs, but it is what it is. And then you've got the 9th installment of Listen with Nico. And there is the disc and the voucher. And then that brings us to the last installment. So we have The Clairvoyant and Infinite Dreams. And here we've got the back of each. Alright. So, The Clairvoyant is backed with The Prisoner and Heaven Can Wait, and these are all live versions from, this one is from Monsters of Rock. So, Donington, 1988 is where these 3 tracks were recorded. And then Infinite Dreams is backed with Killers and Still Life. And these 3 are all live tracks from the Maiden England release. And then you've got the 10th installment of Listen with Nico. And if I remember right, I think the vinyl version listed Wasted Years on this one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been a minute since I've had the vinyl version in my hand. So there is the disc, and there is the voucher. And as I said, they sold the CDs separately. They went on one per week. And you bought all the CDs, you gathered up the vouchers, you sent them in, and then they sent you a box to put them in. So they all fit in the box kind of like so. The lid goes over the top of the box. Kind of like that. Now the LP version of it, the LPs sit flat in the box. So really, the LP version of the box probably ain't much taller than this, but it's huge for an LP, and this lid would be square. So, you know, where I put the CDs in sideways like this, the LPs would actually be stacked one on top of another. And I believe The same goes for the Japanese CD box set. I'm pretty sure is a big square box. So, anyway, that is the first 10 years. And this was one of the, this was like my first hurdle, I guess, when I was collecting Maiden. Because this was like the very beginning of my eBay days. Back in, I think I've had this since like 98 or 99. So that was a goal to collect. And then I would get the vinyl version a few years later. That was the vinyl version of this is one of the couple of things that burned me on eBay in the very beginning. We're talking pre-PayPal. This was back, I used to go to a post office and get a money order, send the money order off, and then hopefully, you know, a month or so later, my stuff would arrive. So the vinyl version of this box set, and then the originals too by Kiss, I got burned on real early on. And then PayPal kind of reared its head and made eBay a lot safer for me. So yeah, this was one of my first crowning achievements when I was collecting Maiden. And I don't know if you can see over my shoulder or not, but I have got a ton of Maiden singles right in that general vicinity that I may talk about here at some point or another. So I still got everything on CD. Every single that they've released on CD I have. So Maiden is my favorite band of all time, so I will definitely be talking more Maiden as time goes on. So thanks for hanging in with me and learning a thing or two about this. And if you are able to procure one of these sets, be it vinyl or CD, I think it is worth it. And if you are a Maiden collector interested in singles, there's a lot of non-album B-sides on those singles. I definitely recommend checking them out. So anyway, thanks for hanging in there with me, and I will catch you next time.